Welcome to Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda. The other day I was in a nursery. Now when I say a nursery, I don't mean with little kids. I mean a nursery with plants. And I was in talking to the guy that runs that nursery. I was ordering some plants for our back garden. And he was saying to me how during the lockdowns, his business has just gone into overdrive because so many people have started planting stuff at home. And there are certain things that he says people are planting all the time. Laurel hedges. Everybody's planting laurel hedges. Cherry blossom trees. Well, I can understand that. I think cherry blossom trees are tremendously attractive. But, you know, the short time when they bloom in the spring, they're absolutely wonderful. I love it this time of year when the cherry blossoms begin to come out. However, another one he mentioned was these fir trees, the cypress trees, Leylandii. Now, if you don't know the name, you would definitely know them to look at. These are these kind of evergreen trees that you see all over Ireland, and they grow like crazy. In fact, they cause disputes between neighbours because they grow so fast. And they're a bit of a Frankenstein tree. It's a hybrid of two different kinds of cypress trees together. And that's why actually the tree itself is sterile. The pine cones, if they drop down from a Leylandii tree, they don't grow. You have to take cuttings from the tree and plant the cuttings in the ground to make them grow. And the Leylandii trees grow so fast that they've caused no end of property disputes with neighbours where these trees grow up 70 feet high and blot out all the light and everything else. Now, close to us, there is a house that has been derelict for a number of years. It's really a great shame, a tragic story to do with alcoholism and then family members disputing and fighting over the ownership of the property. And it's just fallen more and more into disrepair. But in this house's garden, they planted at one point, the owner planted Leylandii trees. And they probably felt something that would grow quickly and that they could manage. Of course, the problem is they didn't manage them. And so those trees grew and grew and grew until now they're over 60 feet high. I mean, they're absolutely massive. They blot out the sun. The other day I was walking past the house and I saw that a wall, the boundary wall on the house, had actually collapsed because of these trees. The trees just growing out and the limbs of the trees growing and pushing against the boundary wall had caused the boundary wall to collapse. And you know what really caused me to stop and to reflect? That here were these trees that when they were first planted, they looked like they would serve a purpose. But the owners of the property failed to control the trees. I would tell you, that's a lesson to me. I've got some of those little Leylandii trees in my garden, and they look nice and they're growing, but I'm determined. Once they get to 10 feet high, I'm chopping the top off them. I'm not going to let them get any bigger. I'm not going to wait until I need to hire a cherry picker to sort them out. I'm going to keep them down where I can reach the top of them from a step ladder. Because there are things sometimes that we allow and permit because they seem okay and they don't seem like they're going to do any harm and we think we can control them. But if we're not careful, they grow out of control. And once they grow out of control, what are you going to do with them? I mean, these Leylandii trees and my neighbours that have brought this wall down, they're over 60 feet high now. To try and cut those trees down now, I mean, it's going to be a major and very expensive operation to do that because they weren't kept under control. And we all have things and we say, I can tolerate this in my life. I can put up with this. I can put up with that. I know it's maybe not exactly God's best, but I can control it. And that's fine until you reach a stage when you realize you can't control it. And I just believe the Holy Spirit would speak to us today. And I believe the Holy Spirit would say to us, look at your lives. Look at the things in your life that need to go. Look at the things in your life that if it gets out of control, it's going to take over and it's going to be destructive. Don't wait until it gets out of control before you struggle to deal with it. But deal with it now. If it's not of God, And if it's in your life and it has the potential to cause damage in the future, then it's time to deal with it now. And it's time to make some real changes. May God help us to do that by the power of His Spirit. And please join us again next time for another Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda.